Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pittsburgh Artist Studio. And today we have a, a woman drummer. This is so exciting. And her name is Tedi Brunetti. And I'm all excited about this because I don't see too many women drummers. So this is a first for me. So, Teddy, welcome.
Hi, how are you today, Mayor?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, tell me a little bit about how you got into the music world and the drums and some of your background also.
Well, uh, you know, music kind of chose me. I didn't choose music. And
Oh,
I was like 11 years old, and I was at a girlfriend's birthday party, and her older sister, who must have been like 14, had a little Victrola record player, and they put this record on. It was Louie Louie by the Kingsmen.
mhm.
And I was across the room, and the drums on that song are bombastic. And it shot through me. Mind you, I was 11. I never played a musical instrument. I guess I like music, but it wasn't anything I thought much about. But it was like a spiritual experience. All right.
Mhm.
It just shot through me like electricity. I ran to that little Victrola and I just kept playing that song over and over again. And in those moments, I knew in the deepest part of my soul that this is what you do. You're a drummer, you're a musician, and this is what you're going to be with your life. This is what you're going to do. I mean, it I was possessed. They had to actually pull me away from the record player to join the rest of the party. I mean, and I ran home and asked my parents if I could have drum lessons. I have a
Mhm.
brother I'm the oldest of 10 kids.
Oh,
I,
wow. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
big Italian family. And I have a
Yeah.
brother a couple years younger than me, and he was a child prodigy classical pianist. He went to Carnegie Mellon, and today he's a big vocal coach in Manhattan.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, he's very well known, and he's written a book called Acting Songs. His name is David Brunetti, and I think he's in Denmark right now teaching.
Nice.
Yeah, they send him all. He goes all over the world and teaches people all over the United States, all over the place, and he's very well respected and has done very well for himself. But
Mhm.
so I mean, we had that element, but that's classical piano, and of course, that's my parents were actors,
Oh,
so they wouldn't let me play the drums. I asked for the drums. They said no because they thought it was a boy's instrument. Okay,
well,
back in
yes.
those days, we had
Yeah.
we had to
Isn't it
contend
funny?
with
Yeah.
such things, right?
Yeah.
So I asked for the next best thing, which was guitar,
Uh-huh.
and they agreed to that. And they actually ended up buying me a guitar because I did so well with my lessons.
Mm.
And it served me well. God had a plan for me because that's how I write my music today.
Oh, okay.
My guitar playing's gone by the wayside. My husband is my lead guitar player, Jim
Oh, okay.
Mason. And
Okay.
besides being the love of my life, we just celebrated 44 years of marriage together.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, do you, because you're talking about a big family, I thought I'd ask this. Now, do you have a big family? Have you had a lot of children or? So, you know how Italian families are. I know
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Italian, but I didn't have a
Oh,
big
good.
family. So,
No. I grew, every year there was a new baby.
yes, yes.
And my mom was pregnant 13 times.
Oh, my goodness.
So where there isn't a kid, there was a miscarriage. I mean,
Aw.
it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So I have two sons.
Okay.
We have two sons,
Okay.
and they both have a son, and the one has a daughter also. So I have three grandkids so far, and
Yes.
I don't know that they're finished yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I only have two grandkids. My youngest daughter, who also got inspired by a woman drummer, and she takes percussion. She's in college. She does the
wonderful.
percussion thing, and her husband is a drummer. I don't know if you have heard of him, Chris Bellin. He
Mm.
has a traveling drum school. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
you guys all have a little circle, you know. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
my husband's a bass player, so I mean, it's
Oh,
just like, yeah. So music, I don't have any kind of inkling for it. Like I'm really bad. I can't sing. I can't count I can't count right. So I just went into the art. So that's where I am at. But it's just so cool to see this, because my daughter was inspired by a woman drummer. We went to a blues festival, and that's where she saw this woman drummer. And
wonderful.
I mean, because you don't see it. And that's what fascinated me about you when I saw that. I said, wow.
Yeah, there's more now than ever.
Yeah.
And some of them are spectacular, I gotta say. Much better than I'll ever be.
Oh.
But no, I studied music too. I was a music major. I got a scholarship for snare drumming. What happened was I got a job in a fried chicken place, and took my money and went to the mall and signed myself up for drum lessons. And everybody was pretty surprised that that's what I would do with my money at that young age, And I ended up,
well, that's what you wanted to do in the first place.
I went to college 2 years, Eastern Kentucky University. I had a little scholarship for snare drumming, and dropped out and went on the road with a band. That's where I met my husband. And then we ended up in New York City in the 70s and 80s, because I must say, once I started those guitar lessons at 11, I started writing songs immediately.
Oh, wow.
So I've been a songwriter for
a long time. Well, not a long time, but yes.
Well, 58 years, that's long enough, right?
Okay. Well, you're about the same age as me.
Yeah, and I studied, I'm 69. I'm not ashamed.
Well, that's my age too.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I'll be 69 next month.
Hey, we're doing good. You look
Yes,
good.
We are. We are.
But yeah, I studied songwriting at ASCAP and the Songwriters Guild while I was in New York. And,
wow.
I do everything 100%. So if I get into something, I try to be the best I can be at it.
Well, that's, that I think that's what our I think that's just like with our inspiration or our talent, we want to be the best we can. I mean, I'm even the same way with my artwork. I mean, I'm trying to be the best that I can be, and you continue to take classes or whatever you have to do, So, well, tell me. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I still study drumming,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you ever stop, once you find your niche, you just continue to grow from it. So, well, what is your creative process like?
Well, as far as songwriting goes, I write like the old Tin Pan Alley songwriters. I learned this process at the Songwriters Guild, and I write from titles. All right. So I jot them down. I have lists and books of notebooks of titles and little phrases that'll come up that hit me, that I think that sounds like it should be in a song. That sounds like a song or whatever. I'll have, I have a big bin up in my office with little scraps of paper and little things, and my notes in my phone. I have all kinds of weird little one-liners in there, And then when I get, I'm not prolific. All right. I write out of necessity. So if I'm going to record, I write. Otherwise, I have ideas. Things started, like I said, from these titles, and they float around in my head and my consciousness, and I let them develop and percolate that way. And when I sit down to actually write a song, like I said, I'll write from a title, and I'll let that stuff wash over me for a while. I'll go through that bin of notes and just read through them all, just see if anything would pertain to the song I'm about to write. And sometimes I start with a bass line. Sometimes I start with a chord progression. Sometimes I start just with a lyric. So it depends. But my philosophy is the words are out there, the right words, the perfect rhyme, and you just have to wait until it'll come to you when the time is right.
Yeah.
And I just believe in my songwriting ability, and it's like riding a bicycle. So whenever I need to do it, I just jump on and take off, and so far I've been able to do it that way. Wow. And I do collaborate. Dean Sargent, my producer, who produced my first solo album 35 years ago, by the way,
Oh, wow.
as well as this latest one that came out yesterday. We wrote together. And actually, the title song on the album is, and the name of the album is Queen of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And that's his title, and that's his, idea.
Yeah.
I kind of balked at it at first. He came to Pittsburgh. He lives in the Poconos. He's like 6 hours away. Him and Mike Hennigan, his business partner. He's the other producer. And Jim, my husband, and I helped produce that album also. We're the executive producers, more or less. I mean, it was a great collaboration, but Dino's and Mike's expertise are on the technical side, and the musical side. I mean, Dean is a hell of an arranger. And he was a first call recording engineer in New York City back in the day. He's worked on a lot of big projects, a lot of big things.
Nice.
So he knows how to make a record. And he's been writing, he's my age, and he's been writing as long as I have. And Mike writes, and they both sing, and they both play guitar and bass. And so between all of us, we probably have 200 years of experience writing songs. And
oh, nice. Yeah.
And recording and being, and you can't get that when you're 20.
That's true.
So this album has benefited from all of our experience, and that's why it's so wonderful. And we weren't expecting to put it out there like this and pursue a music career again. I mean, I'm not retired anymore. I'm in the music business now. But I started writing again, and we had a little cover band, blues band that we did for a while, and that got old quick enough because I like to do my own music, And I wrote for that band, and then I ran into Dean and I said, I'm thinking of doing another album because, we want our grandkids to know that Grandma and Grandpa were cool once,
Yeah.
So that was the idea behind this album, it was a legacy thing for our grandkids. And then we decided, well, we'll just let the music speak for itself. And through the process, people got interested in it and offered me certain things. And here I'm back in the music business again.
Well, so you don't do any like gigs around Pittsburgh with the band, or?
Well, my band, Pittsburgh's tough because there's not a lot of original music venues that can support a band. All right.
Yeah. They like all the classics and stuff, whatever.
They like cover bands. It's a bar town, But so I'm not going to do that.
I know.
I was in New York City for 20 years, and all I did was original music, and it's a step backwards for me to start to have an iPad full of lyrics. To me, it's one step above karaoke. It's like karaoke with a band that isn't as good. I mean,
it's the truth, and it's sad because that's the way my husband. We have a guy that he works with, and he does originals. And he can't find even people to sing them. This is another thing. You can't even find somebody to sing the songs.
Give him my number.
Okay, I'll let him know. And it's just like frustrating because you do the covers. It's all cover band stuff.
Yeah.
Throw in a couple originals and that's it.
Yeah, the big cities like L.A., New York, Nashville. It's a different scene.
Yeah,
it's different. So my band is spread out. My keyboard player from my first band is going to be playing with us, Harry Silver, and he's in Queens, New York. Okay. Dean and Mike, my producers, they're all in. They're in my band. My husband's my lead guitar player. I have a rehearsal studio here in Pittsburgh, but they're 6 hours away. So we're planning. With COVID, who knew what was going to happen? You couldn't really plan in advance, and everything's kind of last minute now.
Yeah.
And it's starting to open up some, but then you hear stuff and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they're talking about this new one, this whatever it is, Delta or whatever. Yeah. So
I wonder sometimes, is it really a variant, or is it the vaccines that's making people?
I got the vaccine. I hope it's not the vaccine.
Because a lot of people with the who have been vaccinated are getting it. Right? So it's like, so what the hell is that? Anyway. But so yeah, so I'm doing kind of okay in Germany
Oh,
and the
cool.
Netherlands and stuff and places.
Yeah.
Well, that's Spotify, that's Apple Music, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I that's what I would like to do. I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll work out or not, but I would like to tour Europe and do
Yeah.
little mini tours. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, at this age, I'm not going to play empty rooms, and I'm not sleeping in the back of the SUV. I mean,
Right. Oh,
we're
yeah.
gonna,
It's
yeah,
hard. Yeah, it's
and
harder.
just moving the equipment is
Oh,
painful at this age, and
I know.
it's
Yeah.
a hassle. So I
Yeah.
mean, it has to pay. There has to be an audience there, or
Yeah.
maybe I'll hook up with a bigger artist and tour with them, as an
Yeah.
opening act, that kind of a thing. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. I never put limits on myself.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's good. Yeah.
I'm just trying to be part of the process, the flow, enjoy each day. You know,
Right.
the, it, it's different at this age, because when I was in my 20s and 30s trying to make it, the rest of my life depended on it. This is how I was going to support. We were going to
Right.
support our family and everything else. So those days are gone.
Right.
I've lived my life in stages. We came back to Pittsburgh to raise the kids so they would know their big Italian family. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
went back to school for ultrasound, and I did ultrasound for 20 years. I didn't play music.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I've been back playing music now for about 8 or 9 years. And,
Uh-huh.
it's different now. I'm financially secure, so
Have to worry.
I don't have to depend on it for a living. And
Mhm.
so that gives me the freedom. Money's freedom.
Yes. Oh, isn't that the truth? That's the
So
truth. Yeah.
I can make choices now. What I
Yeah.
want, but I do state of the art videos, and that's what I'm really into. I have a film crew that I work with, these young guys who graduated Rutgers Film School, so they're
Oh,
bona fide filmmakers. My first video, the first single's been out a month. This morning I just checked, and we hit 12,000 views on YouTube,
nice.
which is difficult to do when you only have one
Video. Yeah.
video out there.
Yeah.
We're editing the second one, and it should be out in a few weeks. And then we're going to do a couple more after that. So I like the artistic creativity of the video process also.
Hmm.
So I'm learning about that, and that's another way to express yourself. And actually, visual images are much more memorable than audio images.
Yes.
But I'm a musician. For me, it starts with the song.
Hmm.
So if the music isn't any good and the song isn't any good, and the production isn't any good,
Isn't that true?
you can have a great video and nobody will
Yeah.
care, you know what I mean? But I think we're batting 1,000 now.
Yeah.
I have a nice team of people with
Yeah.
me. Everybody's creative. Everybody's an artist. They're all giving their, and I'm mature enough to give people the leeway to have input into
Right.
the whole project, and
Mhm.
it's a lot
It
easier
does.
now.
It makes a big difference. I think we just have so much what we have learned and accumulated over the years too. Unfortunately, I don't like being this age though, because we don't have many years to live. We don't know one day to the next.
Well, the way they're doing DNA and things now, I feel like I'm middle aged.
That's true. Well, you know what? When I look back at my grandparents, I think I always thought because my grandparents from Italy, they always looked old to me, but I'm sure that they were our age, and even
Right.
younger, and they still looked old. I mean, we look good.
The women didn't dye their hair.
Right.
It's a youth
Right.
culture that started with us in the 70s and 80s, right?
Right.
Everything became youthful again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thank goodness. I mean,
it was focused on the hippie move. Everybody. It was a young thing that took over the country.
True.
It wasn't these staunch old suited people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, my grandmother never smiled on a photo. I mean, she didn't. I'm thinking, at least we have, a little bit of smiling going on anyways. I mean, even laughing, I think it's good. They were just different. They were just a different group of people.
Oh, I mean, how strong were they? I mean, they came to this country.
Oh, yeah.
Language they didn't know. I mean,
barriers.
And I can't even imagine. It's like being dropped out of a helicopter into a different world.
Yeah.
I know my Italian grandmother, she came here when she was 16. She taught herself math. She ended up having a little store.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather had a construction company. I mean, they didn't speak English well at all right?
Yeah.
Very broken English, you know.
Right.
And so those were strong people. And then on my
Yeah.
father's side, I'm 1/4 Russian.
Oh,
My dad's mom, she came over to this country when she was 2. She was smuggled under her mother's skirt during the Bolshevik Revolution.
oh, wow.
Yeah, my great grandfather was an architect in Moscow, and of course the Bolsheviks grabbed all the educated, rich,
Yeah. Yeah.
so-called, people. And his
Original.
wife was able to sneak my grandmother and her older sister out, and my grandmother was something. She could speak about 6 languages, but she grew up impoverished. Her mother was like a washerwoman in Oakland,
Oh,
scrubbing, you know what I mean? For like,
yeah.
so I mean, she had a
Oh,
hard life. These women had, those
oh, yes, they
men and
did.
women from that era had
Yeah.
we've come a long way, and they
Yeah.
did that for their children and
Right.
for us and their
Right.
grandchildren, right? So
Right.
I mean, I don't think they get enough credit sometimes.
That's true. That's so true. I mean, it had to be hard. And then the depression, with that. I mean, they just, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. We do have it so good. And I don't think people sometimes realize that there's a lot of unfortunate people, but most of us, I think, have a good life. At least we can survive. I don't know how they did it back then because they didn't
Yeah,
have much.
right. I mean, poor people in this country, for the most part, they have cell phones, they have cars,
Yeah, right.
they have cable TV. I mean,
That's right.
we're not sitting in the dirt around a fire picking,
Right, right. Making candles and stuff.
foraging for whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Washing our clothes by hand. Ugh. And dishes and stuff. I
I
don't know.
yeah.
But well, talk a little bit about your album. Let us know a little bit more about that. So it did your release was yesterday.
Right.
Okay. So did you do that at a special place for the release, or
No, because my band and my producer, we're spread
because
all
everybody's
over,
scattered? Yeah.
and it's COVID set us back like a year. Okay,
Oh, yes.
so
Yes.
getting this thing out, just finishing up all the mixing and mastering everything over this last year, it was just a process.
Mhm.
Because we weren't allowed to be together, so we couldn't go in the studio, and it
Yeah.
was just
Horrible. Yeah.
and it was all done in big studios pretty much. And then but my producer Mike has a mobile studio set up, and we did some of the overdubs and vocals and things with him. And but so the
So
video,
your album's name is The Queen of Pittsburgh.
it's
Is that what it?
Queen of Pittsburgh. And yeah, it's on all the streaming platforms. It's on Apple Music, iTunes, wherever you get music, you can
Okay.
find it.
Okay.
And I'm a little disappointed because I have a new website. I have a tech guy, Will McDuffie. He's fantastic, and we're putting a new website up. And the place that I got my domain name from a few years back it's a slow company. All right, so so having everything load over to the new website. It's a custom website. That's where you'll be able to get the CD. All right.
Okay. Okay.
And so that isn't up yet.
Ah.
So we're waiting. It should be up this week. We're waiting.
Yeah.
We're just. It's just however long this.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention the company's name.
I know what you mean. I had that issue once too, right? Trying to get it moved over, but I don't even keep mine up anymore. I should. But I don't like to upload my art anymore because people steal that stuff. I can't believe the thieves, that you get. So I just haven't really uploaded anything recently.
Yeah, I want to show you something. See, I'm gonna have things like these cute little.
Oh, cute!
with my logo on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a merch store on my website. Some T-shirts. There's going to be new things coming on with that. It's a process. That everybody wants content. You can't keep posting the same stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm learning about how to market things and how to do things that way. And it's so in God's time, not in my time.
Yeah.
There must be a reason. And I'm patient today, where
Yeah.
I haven't been in the past.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that happens as you get older too. You can't have patience. I have still issues with that though. I expect things to just go, but you just have to take one day at a time. It can be overwhelming.
exactly. That's how I try to live. One day,
Yeah,
today's good. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
yeah,
And I'll enjoy today. Because that's all I can control anyhow at this point.
that's right. That's right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'd love to gig again.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it, but it probably won't be until next year. I assume. Because
Yeah,
before you know it, it'll be Christmas.
exactly. It's going so fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we just have to be cautious too still,
exactly.
you know.
Everything's up in the air still. So until
Yeah,
things settle down more, and
right.
I want to play in Europe, but I don't even know half these places you're not even allowed in anymore. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
what's going
Yes.
to happen with that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love, for me, I get a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction from writing the songs. It's a kick for me. And then going in the studio and recording them, developing them, the arranging,
Yeah.
the recording process. I love that. I love it. I love it. I could work in the studio all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I never have to play out again, really, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And, because it's not such an ego thing for me anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm into the music, and I'm into just creating.
Mhm.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, it's fun to interact. The interaction between the musicians and the camaraderie of a band and that
Yeah.
whole. But
But sometimes that camaraderie isn't so camaraderie either. But I mean, if you have a good band, it's different. But
right.
yeah, it can be really. I've noticed this, because my husband there for a long time wasn't playing too, and I always kept saying, "Don't you want to be up there? Don't you want to get on the stage? Isn't it? It looks like it would be so much fun." And then he finally started back at it, and oh God, I've been going crazy. Some of this stuff, I said, what is with these people,
Oh, it's like a soap opera, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've written songs about it. That song "Evil Woman" it came about because the lead singer in the little blues cover band had a girlfriend who they started having trouble. She wanted him to, I guess she was in love with him, and he wasn't so much going to be with her, all right, for the rest of her life, and let her know. And she got crazy and started like threatening stuff on Facebook. And she was
dear me.
so that's where the Evil Woman came from. That's where that title came from.
Oh, okay.
And then and then the rest of the song had different influences. It speaks to the 20-30 something generation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got a lot of the ideas from where I get my hair done at Swank Hair Salon. It's all these beautiful young hotties, right?
Yeah, yeah.
These 20-30 somethings, and just listening to their stories about their and husbands, and there's no rules today.
Yes.
So
I think that's been something. It's been because my first career before I went to college, I was a hairdresser, and it was back in the 70s. And I'm going to tell you what, the stories I'd hear from customers as well as the people that I worked with.
Sure.
It was the same. I mean, I don't think it's changed. Then when I retired,
it hasn't. But
yeah, it was the same thing. When I retired, I went back to it, and it was the same thing. I said, "Oh, I can't take this."
It's like tending bar, But so yeah, I got a lot of the ideas for that song from that. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a different time. Some of the things are still there from this old times too, but it's more open. And I can't handle it. I'm always saying, I don't know if that's right.
Well, some of it's fantastic, and some of it just is like you got a question. How's that going to work out?
Yeah, right.
I mean, the fact that if you get pregnant and have a baby and you're not married, you're not
You don't
straight
have an income.
and you know what I mean? That was like taboo,
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and I mean, even having sex, really, you didn't talk about it.
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
No.
When we were young. Uh,
Yes.
uh,
Very
so,
open.
yeah, and now, you could have sex with
You can
everybody.
watch television, watch a soap opera. You get all your lessons there.
Right. I mean, there's no rules. So
No.
yeah.
No.
So some of it's good, but like I said, some of it, it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I am too. I mean, some of it just I can't take. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've kind of gone over. The only thing I did want to ask you about is like you were performing as a singer at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of that. I mean, I don't have to play the drums. I could just sing in front of the band,
Okay.
But and I've done it. But and sometimes, when I had my band in New York City, we played all the clubs. We did very well, and part of the show was I would come out and sing out front. I had four background singers, two guys and two girls. I had a choreographer. They were choreographed.
Oh.
I had a stylist. I mean, I had a manager. I had real management. I mean, I did everything you could do, but have a hit record, And then after the second child was born, it was just New York got cost prohibitive. AIDS was a big thing then.
It
was
wasn't appealing.
yeah, it was time to come home,
Mm-hmm.
for us. And so I've lived my life in stages that way, you know what I mean? Because when you're trying to have a big career, it's about you. It's not about kids.
Right. Yeah. Unless you have a heart. I mean, if you have a heart, then you want to focus on your children first. And
Right.
that's kind of like what I did too, because I was divorced and that's when I went to college. So I kind of wanted to focus on them. So I put my artwork aside,
Exactly.
So
I did the same thing,
yeah. So
I came back and went back to school for ultrasound.
Yes.
So yeah, so yeah, we have similar values. We have
Right.
our lives have followed a similar path that way, where it was about the kids now. It wasn't about me.
Yes.
So in my music career, so it was hard. Well, it wasn't easy.
It's hard to give up. Yeah.
It wasn't easy. I cried for 3 years, believe me. Because when I would hear music, that was me.
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah.
See, I mean, and I hadn't had monetary success, so if I had had a hit record, things would have been different. You know what I mean? Maybe I could have had a family and a career in music at the same time. But as it turned out, I have no regrets. It's just
well, and I don't either. I'm glad I was here because I think my kids grew up decent, considering I was a single parent at the time, and so they grew up decent. Like I said, considering they didn't get into drugs, they didn't get into like doing anything that was, at least that I knew of. They always seemed like they were straight on the straight and narrow path. I wouldn't let them do anything.
Well,
so I was, try to be tough, but it was hard, and you
sure. Well, I think raising kids is really the most difficult thing you can do.
Right.
And nowadays, I don't even, I feel bad for my kids raising kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I have a 12-year-old granddaughter, and I worry that she's on that phone.
Well,
she's a very good kid.
Yeah.
And her parents are wonderful.
Yeah.
And they're looking after her, but everything's available to her. Who knows? You never, and people, there's, these predators.
Oh, yes.
They know what they're doing. They know how to get to kids. They
disguise
themselves. Who knows what So,
Yeah.
it's worrisome,
I worry too, because I have a 12-year-old grandson,
Oh,
but
okay.
they're into the computer game, all those games
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And that's all they do. And my husband always says, we used to go out and play all the time. We used to be outside. He says, them kids are always in the house. But I said, it's probably better they're in the house because you don't know what's outside.
Yeah, I think
Same thing.
that's what parents are thinking nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, heck, you can live in a really great neighborhood and somebody could just come in there and do something. You just don't know where these people are living.
Yeah.
So they can live next door for all we know,
And there's so many more people to that.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
thing, the population exploded,
Right.
So,
So,
there's more of everything. There's more good people and there's more bad people.
bad people. That's right. That's true. Well, that's your next song, right? Good people, bad people. Well, yeah, so it was nice talking with you, Teddy. I really enjoyed this. It was very interesting. I'm so impressed by a woman drummer. Like I said, I just think that's awesome. And being older and doing this too, I mean, it's even harder for us because I know I had to quit my part-time stuff. So
Yeah.
as you get older, but if you can keep going, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody listening will too.
Oh,
And I'll have all those links in the information section here.
awesome.
And where your CD or they can see your video and everything, I will make sure that's all there.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for joining. Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
All righty. Everybody take care. Be safe. Bye.
Bye.